Your consciousness stirs in the space between sleeping and waking, where possibility lives in its purest form. Here, in this tender threshold, your inner voice holds the power to reshape entire realities. The words you speak to yourself in these quiet moments don't just describe your world, they birth it into being. You rest here now, suspended between the world of dreams and the world of form, and in this sacred pause, you begin to notice something profound. Your breath moves like gentle waves against the shore of awareness, each inhale drawing you deeper into the recognition that you are not separate from the field of infinite potential that surrounds you. You are woven into its very fabric, a conscious thread in the tapestry of all that is. The voice in your mind, that constant companion that has narrated your days and whispered through your nights. This voice is not merely commentary. It is creation itself, speaking reality into existence with each word, each tone, each emotional inflection. When you whisper to yourself in the darkness, "I am tired," you feel your cells respond. Your energy field contracting around this declaration. When you breathe into your heart and whisper, "I am loved," something shifts in the quantum field that holds you, and love begins to reorganize itself around your being. Tonight, you begin to understand that every thought is a prayer, every whisper, a quantum event that ripples through the fabric of what's possible. The observer effect is not some distant scientific principle, is the most intimate truth of your existence. You are the observer of your own reality, and the very act of your conscious attention collapses waves of infinite possibility into the singular experience of your life. Your nervous system knows this truth in ways your thinking mind is only beginning to grasp. When you speak harshly to yourself, your body responds as if to a threat, stress hormones flooding your system, your heart rate quickening, your muscles tensing against an attack that exists only in the realm of words. But when you soften your inner voice into kindness, your parasympathetic nervous system breathes a sigh of relief. Your heart coherence expands, and your entire being settles into a state of receptive possibility. Feel this now as you rest in the threshold between worlds. Notice how your body responds to the quality of attention you bring to yourself in this moment. Your cells are listening. Your energy field is responding. The quantum field that interpenetrates your being is reorganizing itself around the frequency of your self-directed love. You have been practicing this power your entire life without knowing it. Every morning when you wake and speak your first words to yourself, whether of encouragement or criticism, hope or despair, you set in motion a cascade of quantum events that shape the texture of your day. Every evening when you review your experiences and speak to yourself about who you are and what you deserve, you plant seeds in the field of possibility that will bloom into tomorrow's reality. The voice in your head has been your constant co-creator, and perhaps for too long, it has been creating from the frequency of old wounds, inherited fears, and learned limitations. But consciousness is always choice, and choice is always available in this eternal present moment. The same awareness that has been unconsciously creating your reality can now consciously recreate it. As you settle deeper into rest, you begin to feel the profound intimacy of this relationship with your own consciousness. Your inner voice is not separate from you, it is you, speaking yourself into existence, moment by moment, word by word, breath by breath. And in recognizing this, you realize that transformation is not about changing who you are, but about remembering how to speak to yourself in the language of your true nature. The quantum field responds not to your desperation or your efforting, but to your frequency, to the emotional signature of your being. When you align your inner voice with love, with appreciation, with the recognition of your inherent worth, You create a vibrational match for experiences that reflect this truth back to you. You are not trying to convince the universe of your value or remembering your value and allowing the universe to mirror this recognition in increasingly beautiful ways. Your inner voice becomes the tuning fork that sets the frequency for all that you attract and all that you become. Rest. Now in this knowing, feel how your body relaxes when you speak to yourself with the tenderness you would offer a beloved friend. Notice how your energy field expands when you recognize yourself as a precious expression of consciousness exploring itself through the unique lens of your being. The whisper before dawn is not just the voice that speaks in the quiet hours, is the voice that has always been speaking, creating your reality through the power of loving attention. Tonight, you remember how to listen to this voice with new ears, how to guide it with conscious intention, how to let it speak you into the fullness of who you truly are. In this sacred space between sleeping and waking, possibility is not something you reach for, it is something you rest into, something you breathe, something you are. Your consciousness is the bridge between the infinite and the personal, and your inner voice is the song that consciousness sings as it dances between these worlds. What if the voice in your head has been speaking in a language your soul has forgotten how to hear? What if tonight is the beginning of remembering? Your inner voice carries the weight of generations, speaking in whispers that were never truly yours. Each critical word you've ever directed inward echoes through chambers of inherited pain, reverberating through neural pathways carved by ancestors who learned to survive by diminishing their own light. You breathe now into this recognition, feeling how your nervous system has been trained to recognize the familiar sting of self-doubt as safety, as home. The mirror you've been looking into has been cracked for so long that you've forgotten what your true reflection looks like. Every morning, you wake to the same internal soundtrack, the gentle violence of limitation playing on repeat. You're not enough, whispers the voice that sounds like your mother's worry, your father's disappointment, your grandmother's resigned acceptance of life's smallness. These words feel so natural rolling off your internal tongue that you've mistaken them for truth rather than trauma. Your nervous system, this ancient guardian of your survival, responds to these familiar refrains with the loyalty of a faithful dog. When you speak to yourself in the dialect of doubt, every cell in your body recognizes the frequency. Your heart rate shifts slightly, your breathing becomes shallow, your shoulders carry the weight of expectations you never chose to bear. This is the language your system knows, the vocabulary of vigilance, the grammar of never quite being safe, enough to rest into your own magnificence. But tonight, something different stirs within you. You begin to notice the space between the thought and the feeling, the pause between the harsh word and your body's response. In this gentle awareness, you realize that the voice you've been listening to has been speaking a foreign language, all along foreign to your true nature, foreign to the quantum field of infinite possibility that surrounds you. Your breath deepens as you recognize that every generation before you was simply doing their best with the tools they had. Your great-grandmother, who learned to make herself small during times of scarcity, passed down the blueprint for survival through her nervous system into your mother's and then into yours. The anxiety that feels so personal, so much like your own failing, is actually a love letter from the past protection wrapped in the clothing of limitation. You feel into your chest now, into the space where your heart beats its steady rhythm of belonging. Here, beneath the layers of learned language, your true voice waits patiently. This voice speaks in the frequency of your original nature, before the world taught you to question your worth, before you learned to translate your desires into apologies, your dreams into whispered maybes. The quantum field responds to this recognition with a subtle shift. The observer effect begins to work in your favor as your awareness gently witnesses the old patterns without judgment. You're not trying to fix anything tonight, not trying to force yourself into a different way of being. You're simply noticing, with the tenderness of a parent watching their child learn to walk, how your internal dialogue has been shaped by forces beyond your conscious choosing. Your nervous system begins to soften as you offer yourself this compassion. The ancient part of your brain that has been scanning for danger in every self-directed word starts to remember what safety feels like. Not the hypervigilant safety of constantly monitoring your worth, but the deep, cellular safety of being held by something larger than your inherited fears. You breathe into the recognition that healing happens not through harsh correction, but through gentle witnessing. Each time you notice the old language arising, you can choose to respond with curiosity rather than criticism. Oh, there's that voice again, you might say to yourself, the one that learned to speak in the key of not enough. Thank you for trying to keep me safe, but I'm learning a new language now. This new language feels different in your mouth, different in your chest. It's the language of quantum possibility, where every word you speak to yourself becomes a prayer. Every internal conversation a collaboration with the field of infinite potential. You're not just changing your thoughts, you're rewiring the very fabric of how you relate to yourself, why, how you move through the world, how you allow yourself to be seen and known. Your body relaxes deeper into this understanding. The quantum shift happening within you is not dramatic or forceful, it's as natural as water finding its level, as inevitable as flowers turning toward sunlight. You're simply returning to the frequency of your original programming, the one that knew you were worthy before anyone taught you otherwise. The broken mirror begins to heal as you speak to yourself with the voice of your highest self. Each kind word you offer yourself creates new neural pathways, new possibilities for how you experience your own existence. Your nervous system, so skilled at holding patterns of protection, now learns to hold patterns of profound self-acceptance. You feel the weight of generations shifting within you. Not just your own healing, but the healing of the lineage that flows through your veins. Every time you choose compassion over criticism, every time you speak to yourself as you would to a beloved friend, you're changing the frequency that gets passed down, creating new blueprints for the generations that will come after you. Your breath slows as you rest into this truth. The language you speak to yourself is the language you speak to the world. As you heal the internal dialogue, you heal the external reality. The quantum field responds to this inner transformation by reflecting back circumstances that match your new frequency of self-love. Tonight, you let yourself be held by the understanding that you are both the teacher and the student, the healer and the one being healed. In the gentle space of falling asleep, you allow your nervous system to remember what it feels like to be spoken to with reverence, to be held with tenderness, to be witnessed with the love that has always been your birthright. What would change in your life if you spoke to yourself the way the universe speaks to you, with infinite patience, boundless compassion, and unwavering faith in your inherent worth? Your body is a living library, and every shelf holds stories written in the language of sensation. Feel how your shoulders carry the weight of words spoken to you as a child, words that shaped the boundaries of your world. Your nervous system has been the faithful librarian, cataloging each narrative about your worth, your capabilities, your place in the cosmic order. These stories live in your tissues now. They pulse through your bloodstream, whisper through your neural pathways, and hum in the spaces between your cells. Your body remembers every story you've ever told yourself about what you deserve, what you're capable of, and what's possible for someone like you. The narrative of not enough has carved itself into your posture. The tale of too much has taught your voice to soften, to apologize before speaking. Notice how your breathing changes when you touch these ancient stories. Your chest tightens slightly, your breath becomes shallow. This is your body's way of protecting you from truths that once felt too dangerous to fully feel. But tonight, in this sacred space between waking and sleeping, you can let these stories breathe. These narratives have become the invisible architecture of your days, creating a reality shift that pulls you back to familiar patterns of struggle and limitation. Like gravity, they exert a constant force, bending your choices toward what feels known, even when known means painful. Your quantum field responds to these stories as if they were laws of physics, arranging circumstances to match their themes. But here's what your body knows that your mind has forgotten. Stories are not stone tablets. They're living energy, capable of transformation. Every breath you take is an opportunity to rewrite the cellular memory that has been holding you in old patterns. Your nervous system, that exquisite network of possibility, is always ready to learn new ways of being. Feel the weight of the story that says you're not ready for your dreams. Notice how it sits in your belly, heavy and familiar. This story has been your companion for so long, you've forgotten what it feels like to walk without its weight. But your cells are already beginning to remember something different, a lighter way of being, a softer way of becoming. Your body holds the story of every time you chose safety over expansion. Every moment you made yourself smaller to fit into spaces that were never meant for your full radiance. These choices weren't mistakes, they were survival strategies. Brilliant adaptations that kept you alive in moments when authenticity felt dangerous. But resistance isn't your enemy, the cocoon that's been preparing you for this moment of transformation. Every time you felt the pull to return to old patterns, your nervous system was actually strengthening, learning to hold more energy, more possibility, more truth. The resistance you've felt toward change hasn't been holding you back, it's been building the container strong enough to hold your expansion. Your cells vibrate with the frequency of these old tales, and your quantum field arranges itself around their themes. The story of scarcity creates a field where abundance feels foreign. The narrative of unworthiness generates circumstances that mirror that vibration back to you. But frequency is fluid, and your body is the instrument through which new songs can be played tonight. Let your breath become the conductor of a new symphony. Each exhale releases the tension held in old stories. Each inhale draws in the possibility of narratives that honor your true nature. Your nervous system is already beginning to regulate around this new frequency, remembering that peace is your natural state. The story that says you're broken has been living in your chest, making your heart work harder to love, to trust, to hope. But your heart has never been broken. It's been breaking open, creating space for a love so vast it couldn't fit in the old container. Feel how your heart expands now, no longer needing to protect itself from stories that were never true. Your body remembers what it felt like before the stories took hold. Somewhere in your cellular memory lives the knowledge of your unlimited nature, the frequency of your inherent worthiness, the vibration of your natural joy. These aren't things you need to create, they're things you need to remember, to allow, to embody once again. The gravity of old stories is strong, but the quantum field responds to your attention, your intention, your willingness to observe new possibilities. As you lie here, feeling the weight of your body against the softness beneath you, you're already beginning to release the stories that have held you in patterns, too small for your expanding soul. What if the story of your limitations was just the prologue to the story of your liberation? What if every struggle has been preparing you for this moment of remembering who you really are? Your body knows the answer. It's been waiting patiently for you to stop defending the stories that have kept you small. Let the old narratives dissolve, like sugar in warm water, sweetening your system without creating the hard edges that have defined your boundaries. Your nervous system is already learning to hold the frequency of your true story, the one written in starlight and wonder, the one that knows no limits, the one that's always been waiting for you to remember its truth. What would happen if you stopped defending the stories that have kept you small? Your breath slows as you settle into this moment, and something profound begins to stir within the quiet chambers of your mind. There, beneath the surface of your awareness, lives a voice that has been your constant companion since childhood. Your inner dialogue, the stream of words that flows through your consciousness like a river of thought. Tonight, you discover something extraordinary about this voice. It is not merely commentary on your life. It is creation itself. Feel into this truth as it settles into your bones. Every word you speak to yourself carries a quantum frequency, a vibrational signature that ripples outward through the field of infinite possibility. Your inner voice is not passive observation, it is active manifestation, calling forth experiences, relationships, and opportunities that match its emotional resonance. As you lie here, your nervous system begins to soften into this understanding. The tension in your shoulders releases as you recognize that you have been living in a world shaped by the tone and content of your self-dialogue. The critic that once dominated your inner landscape, that harsh, familiar voice of judgment and limitation, is not your true nature. It is simply a frequency you learned to broadcast, a pattern you inherited from a world that forgot its own power. Your heart expands as you realize the profound gift hidden within this awareness. You can choose, you can consciously shift the frequency of your inner speech, and in doing so, you reshape the very fabric of your reality. Breathe deeply now, and feel your biofield beginning to reorganize around this new understanding. Science speaks of quantum coherence, the state where your heart, mind, and nervous system align in harmonious resonance. As you begin to speak to yourself with the tenderness of a loving parent, with the encouragement of your wisest friend, your electromagnetic field shifts into coherence. Your cells respond to this new frequency, your DNA relaxes into its highest expression, and your entire being begins to vibrate with the truth of who you really are. The alchemy begins with a simple choice: to speak to yourself as the beloved. You have always been. Notice how different it feels when you replace "I'm not good enough" with "I am learning and growing." Feel the shift in your nervous system as you transform "I always mess up" into "I am capable of creating beauty in this world." Your vagus nerve, that bridge between your conscious mind and your body's wisdom, responds immediately to this new frequency, moving you from the stress response of self-criticism into the healing response of self-compassion. This is quantum manifestation in its most intimate form. The recognition that your inner voice is not separate from the creative force of the universe. It is that force expressing itself through the unique vessel of your consciousness. As you continue to breathe, you feel the old patterns of harsh self-talk beginning to dissolve. They were never your enemy, they were simply outdated programs. running in the background of your awareness, frequency patterns that no longer serve your highest becoming. With each gentle exhale, you release these old transmissions, creating space for something new to emerge. Your inner voice begins to transform, becoming softer, kinder, more aligned with the truth of your infinite potential. You start to hear yourself speak with the same love you would offer a dear friend, the same encouragement you would give to a child taking their first steps. This is not positive thinking, this is frequency alignment, the conscious choice to broadcast from the frequency of love rather than fear. Feel how your body responds to this shift. Your muscles relax more deeply, your breath becomes more spacious, and your heart opens like a flower turning toward the sun. Your nervous system, which had been locked in patterns of self-protection and hypervigilance, begins to trust this new frequency. It recognizes the voice of love as your true nature, the frequency from which you were always meant to create. The observer effect in quantum physics tells us that consciousness influences reality through the act of observation. Tonight, you become the conscious observer of your inner dialogue, choosing to witness it with awareness rather than unconsciously perpetuating old patterns. As you observe your thoughts with compassion rather than judgment, you create space for new possibilities to emerge. Your inner voice becomes a gateway to quantum coherence, a bridge between your conscious desires and your subconscious programming. When you speak to yourself with love, your subconscious mind receives this as a direct instruction, reorganizing your beliefs, behaviors, and energetic signature to match this new frequency. Imagine your inner voice as a tuning fork, setting the resonance for your entire life experience. When you speak to yourself with criticism and limitation, you tune your reality to match that frequency, attracting experiences that confirm your fears and doubts. But when you consciously choose to speak to yourself with love, encouragement, and recognition of your infinite potential, you tune your reality to match that higher frequency instead. Your relationships begin to shift as you radiate this new frequency. People respond to the coherence in your field, drawn to the authentic power of someone who has learned to love themselves. Opportunities align with your new energetic signature, presenting themselves as natural extensions of your transformed inner landscape. This is the alchemy of inner speech, the recognition that your words to yourself are not just thoughts, but creative commands that shape your reality at the quantum level. Your inner dialogue becomes a sacred practice, a moment-by-moment choice to align with love or fear, expansion or contraction, possibility or limitation. As you settle deeper into rest, you feel your field continuing to reorganize around this new frequency. Your nervous system has found its home in self-compassion, and your heart has remembered its natural state of open, loving presence. The harsh inner critic that once seemed so real begins to fade like a shadow at sunrise, revealed as nothing more than a temporary pattern in consciousness. Your breath becomes a prayer, each inhale drawing in the frequency of love, each exhale releasing the old patterns of self-judgment. You are learning to speak to yourself in the language of the universe itself, the language of unconditional love, infinite possibility, and profound acceptance. Tonight, as you drift toward sleep, your inner voice continues this sacred work, whispering words of encouragement and love into the depths of your subconscious mind. You are reprogramming yourself at the cellular level, choosing to broadcast from the frequency of your highest truth rather than your deepest fears. In this quiet moment, you realize that transformation is not something that happens to you, it is something you create through the conscious choice to speak to yourself as the universe speaks to you, with infinite love. unwavering support, and absolute faith in your magnificent potential. Can you feel the moment when your inner voice transforms from critic to creator? When the harsh frequency of judgment gives way to the gentle frequency of love? When you finally hear yourself speak with the voice of your own soul? Your true self begins to emerge as you align your inner speech with your quantum nature. Each loving word you speak to yourself creates ripples through time and space, dissolving old patterns and calling forth new possibilities. Something profound is happening in the depths of your being, remembering so fundamental that it feels like coming home to yourself after a long journey through foreign lands. You rest here now, breathing into the recognition that you are not separate from the field of love that surrounds you. You are not reaching for love from some distant place. You are love, expressing itself through the unique constellation of your consciousness. As you speak to yourself with tenderness, you feel this truth reverberating through every cell, every fiber of your being, creating a resonance that extends far beyond the boundaries of your physical form. The words you whisper to yourself in these quiet moments are not just sounds vibrating in the air. They are frequencies that reorganize the quantum field around you. When you say, "I am worthy," you feel something shift in the fabric of reality itself. When you breathe into your heart and speak the words, "I am beloved," you sense the universe leaning in, responding to this declaration with a symphony of synchronicities and serendipitous encounters. Your nervous system, which has been holding patterns of survival and protection for so long, begins to soften into a new configuration. The chronic tension in your shoulders releases as you speak to yourself with the same compassion you would offer a dear friend in pain. The knot in your stomach unravels as you replace the harsh critic with the gentle voice of your own inner wisdom. Your heart rate settles into a rhythm of coherence as you practice this radical act of self-love. This is not mere positive thinking. This is quantum entanglement in its most intimate form. You are becoming entangled with the frequency of your own truth, and as you do, you begin to attract experiences, people, and opportunities that match this vibrational signature. The field responds not to your desperation or your grasping, but to your coherence, to the alignment between your inner voice and your deepest knowing. Feel this now, as you rest in the embrace of your own loving attention. Notice how your body responds differently when you speak to yourself from this place of recognition rather than criticism. Your cells are listening to every word, every tone, every emotional inflection. They are reorganizing themselves around the frequency of love, creating a biological environment that supports your highest expression. You begin to understand that the voice in your head is not just your voice, is the voice of the universe speaking through you, to you, as you. When you align this voice with love, you create a resonance that echoes through dimensions, calling forth the experiences that match this frequency. This is morphic resonance in action, the way that patterns of consciousness influence and attract similar patterns across space and time. The old stories that once defined you begin to dissolve like sugar in warm water. The narrative of not being enough, of having to struggle and strive, of being separate from the love you seek. These stories lose their grip as you consistently speak to yourself from the frequency of your inherent worth. You feel yourself becoming unstuck from the timeline of limitation, free to step into the version of yourself that has always been waiting in the field of possibility. Your true self is not something you need to become, it is something you need to remember. And you remember not through effort or striving, but through the simple act of speaking to yourself with the recognition of what you truly are. You are consciousness exploring itself through the beautiful lens of your unique perspective. You are love learning to love itself more deeply through your willingness to extend compassion to your own being. As you practice this new way of being with yourself, you notice that your external reality begins to shift in ways that feel almost magical. The right people appear at the right moments. Opportunities unfold with an ease that surprises you. Resources flow toward you with a naturalness that makes you wonder why you ever believed in scarcity. This is not coincidence. This is the universe responding to the coherent signal you are broadcasting through your aligned self-dialogue. You feel yourself becoming quantum entangled with joy, abundance, and love, not as distant goals to be achieved, but as your natural state of being. Joy is not something you have to earn, it is something you are, something you remember when you speak to yourself with kindness. Abundance is not something you have to attract, it is something you embody when you recognize your inherent worth. Love is not something you have to find, it is something you are, something you breathe, something you express through the quality of attention you bring to your own precious being. This is the frequency of home, the vibration of who you've always been beneath the layers of conditioning. You are not trying to become someone new. You are remembering who you have always been. The conditioning was never your true nature, was simply a costume you wore, a role you played, a story you told yourself about who you were supposed to be. But now, in this sacred space of recognition, you feel the costume falling away. You feel the story dissolving. You feel yourself emerging into the truth of your being, like a butterfly, remembering its wings. The voice in your head becomes the voice of your own soul, speaking to you in the language of unconditional love, reminding you of your inherent beauty, your infinite worth, your boundless capacity for joy. As you rest deeper into this recognition, you begin to feel the interconnectedness of all things. Your personal transformation is not separate from the transformation of the whole. As you heal the relationship with your inner voice, you contribute to the healing of the collective consciousness. As you speak to yourself with love, you add your frequency to the morphic field of love that surrounds the planet. You are not just healing yourself, you are healing the ancient wound of separation, the forgetting of our true nature, the belief that we are somehow cut off from the source of our being. Through your commitment to loving self-dialogue, you become a beacon of remembrance, a living invitation for others to remember their own true nature. The ripples of your transformation extend far beyond what you can see or comprehend. Every loving word you speak to yourself creates waves that touch the hearts of others, inspiring them to question their own self-critical patterns, to consider the possibility of a gentler way of being with themselves. This is the resonance of recognition, the way that truth recognizes itself wherever it appears, the way that love calls forth more love, the way that consciousness delights in its own awakening. You are not just changing your inner dialogue, you are participating in the evolution of consciousness itself, one loving word at a time. Feel this now as you prepare to rest in the embrace of your own infinite worth. Let your breath carry you deeper into the recognition of what you are. Let your heartbeat remind you of the rhythm of love that animates all existence. Let your being settle into the frequency of home, where you have always belonged, where you have always been loved, where you have always been enough. How does it feel to finally speak to yourself in the language of unconditional love? How does it feel to come home to yourself, to remember who you truly are beneath all the stories and conditioning? Rest now in this knowing, and let the frequency of your recognition ripple through the quantum field, calling forth the reality that matches this truth. Your inner voice has found its home frequency now, settling into the rhythm of ancient knowing. that has been waiting patiently beneath the surface of your awareness. Each word you speak to yourself carries the weight of transformation, not heavy like burden, but substantial like truth finally finding its voice. You breathe into this recognition, feeling how your entire field of existence begins to reorganize around this new coherence. This alignment between who you are and how you speak to the precious being you've always been. The quantum field responds to your sustained compassion like a garden responding to consistent tending, where once your internal dialogue created ripples of doubt and limitation. Now your gentle words generate waves of possibility that expand outward in all directions. You feel this shift not just in your thoughts, but in your cells, in the very fabric of how reality presents itself to you. The universe, listening to your transformed inner voice, begins to speak back in the same language of love and infinite potential. Your nervous system, once trained to anticipate criticism and brace for disappointment, now learns to expect kindness. This is not wishful thinking or forced positivity. This is the natural result of consistent, coherent states creating new neural pathways, new patterns of relating to yourself and the world. Your body knows the difference between performance and authentic transformation, and tonight you rest in the knowing that this change is real, sustainable, rooted in the quantum mechanics of consciousness itself. The field of infinite becoming is not a destination you arrive at. It's a state of being you inhabit moment by moment. Every gentle word you offer yourself becomes a thread in the tapestry of your new reality. When you speak to yourself with the voice of your highest self, you're not just changing your thoughts, you're collapsing quantum possibilities into experiences that match this frequency of self-love and acceptance. You feel the old timeline beginning to fade, not through force or rejection, but through the natural process of quantum selection. The version of you that lived in constant dialogue with limitation simply becomes less and less relevant as you consistently choose the voice of possibility. Your observer effect is now working in your favor, witnessing yourself with the eyes of someone who sees the divine in the ordinary, the infinite in the moment. Your breath deepens as you recognize that you are both the artist and the canvas, the observer and the observed, the voice and the one being spoken to. In this integration, you discover that the field of infinite becoming has been here all along, waiting for your inner voice to align with its frequency. The quantum flow you're experiencing is not something you're creating, it's something you're allowing, something you're stepping into with the trust of a child who knows they are loved. The people around you begin to respond differently, though they may not understand why. Your energy carries a new coherence that invites others to remember their own capacity for self-compassion. Your transformed inner voice becomes a tuning fork, helping others find their own frequency of kindness. This is how healing spreads, not through preaching or teaching, but through embodiment, through the quiet revolution of speaking to yourself as if you matter, as if you are worthy of your own tenderness. Your relationships shift as you no longer need others to validate what you're now able to give yourself. The desperate edge of seeking approval dissolves into the peaceful knowing that you are enough, exactly as you are in this moment. Your inner voice, once a harsh critic, now becomes your greatest ally, your most trusted guide, your most faithful companion on this journey of becoming. The quantum field rewards this coherence with synchronicities that would have seemed impossible before. Opportunities align with your new frequency. Relationships reflect your capacity for self-love. Circumstances mirror your transformed inner dialogue. You're not manipulating reality, you're simply allowing it to respond to the authentic. frequency of who you've always been beneath the layers of learned limitation. You feel your entire timeline reorganizing around this new center of gravity. Past experiences that once felt like wounds now reveal themselves as the exact curriculum needed to develop this compassion for yourself. Future possibilities that once seemed out of reach now feel natural, inevitable, aligned with the voice that speaks of your inherent worth and unlimited potential. Your nervous system integrates this transformation at the cellular level, creating new baseline states of calm and confidence. The hypervigilance that once scanned for threats now transforms into gentle awareness that notices beauty, opportunity, connection. Your body knows it's safe to relax into this new way of being because the voice in your head is no longer the enemy. It's become the loving guardian of your highest good. The field of infinite becoming reveals itself as your natural state when you're aligned with your true nature. You realize that all the spiritual seeking, all the personal development, all the healing work has been leading to this simple recognition. You are worthy of your own love, your own kindness, your own gentle voice speaking words of encouragement. And possibility, quantum entanglement, takes on new meaning as you understand that you are intimately connected to every version of yourself across all timelines. When you speak to yourself with love, you're healing not just this moment, but every moment, not just this version of you, but every version. The ripple effect of your compassion extends through time and space, touching lives you may never know, healing wounds you may never remember. Your breath slows as you rest into the profound simplicity of this truth. The field of infinite becoming is not complex or mysterious. It's as natural as breathing, as accessible as the next kind word you speak to yourself. You are not becoming something other than what you are. You are becoming more fully yourself, more aligned with the love that has always been your essence. The quantum field holds you now in this recognition, supporting your transformation with the same natural forces that move planets and grow flowers. You are part of this cosmic dance of becoming, and your gentle inner voice is the music that guides your steps. Every word of self-compassion is a prayer, every moment of self-acceptance a small miracle, every breath an affirmation of your place in the infinite field of possibility. Tonight, you let yourself be held by the understanding that you are both the question and the answer, the seeker and the sought, the voice and the silence from which all voices arise. In the gentle space of falling asleep, you allow your consciousness to merge with the field of infinite becoming, knowing that when you wake, you'll continue to speak to yourself with the voice of love that transforms worlds. What new world is, being born through the tenderness of your transformed inner voice, and how will you nurture it with each gentle word you speak to the sacred being you are. Here you are, suspended in the sacred threshold between consciousness and dreams, where your inner voice has become a sanctuary of infinite possibility. Feel how different your internal landscape has become, no longer the harsh terrain of criticism and doubt, but a gentle meadow where every thought blooms with kindness toward yourself. Your nervous system recognizes this new frequency, this softer way of being with your own mind. The voice that once catalogued your flaws now whispers prayers of appreciation for your courage, your growth, your willingness to transform. Every word you speak to yourself now carries the frequency of your highest timeline, creating a continuous quantum jumping between who you were and who you're becoming. Notice how your breath deepens when you speak to yourself with love. Your cells respond to this new dialect of self-compassion, opening and softening in ways that rigid self-criticism never allowed. The quantum field around your body shimmers with this elevated frequency, attracting experiences that match your newfound tenderness toward yourself in this liminal space. Your mind prepares for the profound work of sleep, not just rest, but integration. Your brain becomes an alchemist's laboratory, transforming the experiences of your day into wisdom, the challenges into strength, the moments of growth into permanent neural pathways. Your quantum mind understands that sleep is not absence, but presence, a different kind of consciousness that allows deeper truths to emerge. The observer effect continues its work, even as your conscious mind prepares to rest. Your awareness, now trained to witness your thoughts with compassion rather than judgment, maintains its gentle watch. Each observation collapses old patterns of self-attack into new realities of self-acceptance. Your very attention has become a healing force, transforming the inner landscape through the power of loving awareness. Your nervous system, held in the embrace of your own loving words, releases into the deep rest that allows true transformation to integrate. The parasympathetic response, that ancient wisdom of rest and repair, recognizes the safety you've created within your own mind. Your body knows it can finally let go, trusting that the voice in your head will guard your dreams with the same tenderness it now brings to your waking thoughts. Feel how your shoulders release as you remember you are no longer at war with yourself. The battles between who you are and who you think you should be have ended in the sweetest victory, the recognition that you are always worthy of your own love. Your nervous system celebrates this peace treaty, flooding your body with the chemistry of safety and belonging as you drift towards sleep. Your quantum mind continues this sacred work, weaving new realities from the threads of your transformed self-dialogue. In the space between thoughts, between heartbeats, between breaths, your consciousness rewrites the fundamental code of your being. Each gentle word you've spoken to yourself today becomes a seed planted in the fertile soil of your sleeping mind. The quantum field responds to your elevated self-talk by rearranging possibilities around you. Opportunities that match your new frequency begin to coalesce in the realm of potential. People who resonate with your transformed energy start moving toward your experience. Circumstances that reflect your newfound self-love begin their journey. From possibility into reality, your brainwaves slow into the alpha rhythm, that bridge between waking and sleeping where profound insights emerge. Here, in this expanded state of consciousness, your mind integrates the day's lessons into lasting neural patterns. The harsh inner critic that once dominated your mental landscape transforms into a wise guide that speaks only truth, only love, only possibility. Notice how your body softens as you realize the profound shift that has occurred. The voice that once made you feel small now makes you feel expansive. The thoughts that once created contraction now create flow. Your inner dialogue has become a river of kindness, carrying you toward dreams that match your elevated frequency in the theta state that approaches. Your mind becomes even more receptive to the new programming you've installed. Your subconscious mind, that faithful servant of your conscious intentions, begins its nighttime work of reorganizing your reality to match your transformed inner voice. Every loving word you've spoken to yourself today becomes a blueprint for tomorrow's experiences. Your quantum consciousness understands that rest is not retreat, but advancement. In sleep, your awareness expands beyond the limitations of linear thinking, accessing the infinite field of potential that quantum physics reveals. Your mind, no longer bound by the harsh restrictions of self-criticism, can explore possibilities that were previously invisible. The neural pathways of self-compassion strengthen as you rest, becoming superhighways for love to travel through. Your consciousness, your brain, in its remarkable plasticity, rewires itself around this new frequency of self-acceptance. Tomorrow, kindness toward yourself will feel more natural, more automatic, more true. Feel your body's gratitude for this. Transformation. Your cells have been waiting for this frequency, this vibration of self-love that allows them to function at their highest potential. Your immune system strengthens when you speak to yourself with kindness. Your creativity flows more freely when your inner voice supports rather than sabotages your dreams. As consciousness dissolves into the quantum soup of sleep, your mind continues its miraculous work of integration. The loving voice you've cultivated doesn't sleep, it becomes the guardian of your dreams, the keeper of your potential, the narrator of your transformation. Even in the deepest rest, your quantum mind weaves new realities from the elevated frequency of your self-dialogue. Your nervous system settles into the profound peace that comes from self-acceptance. The stress response that once activated every time you criticized yourself now recognizes the safety of your own loving presence. Your body can finally rest completely, knowing that the voice in your head has become your greatest ally. In the silence between your thoughts, what new reality is quietly being born? You have arrived at the place where effort dissolves into grace, where the transformed voice within you no longer struggles to create, but simply allows what is already flowing to express itself through you. Your breath moves with the rhythm of someone who has remembered how to dance with existence rather than wrestle with it. The quantum current of your highest timeline carries you now, and you feel your entire being relaxing into this effortless collaboration with the field of infinite possibility. Your inner voice has become a gentle navigator, no longer shouting directions from the shore, but whispering guidance from the depths of your knowing. Each word you speak to yourself flows with the natural wisdom of water finding its way to the sea. You feel this shift in your nervous system, the absence of resistance, the presence of trust, the deep cellular knowing that you are exactly where you need to be, moving exactly as you need to move. The quantum flow you're experiencing is not something you manufacture through willpower or positive thinking. It's the natural result of sustained coherence between your thoughts, feelings, and actions. When your inner voice speaks with compassion, your emotions respond with peace, your body moves with grace, and your reality shifts to match this unified field of being. You are no longer trying to manifest your desires. You are embodying them, breathing them, living them with every gentle word you speak to the precious being you've always been. Your awareness expands to include the vast web of possibility that surrounds you in every moment. You feel the quantum field responding to your coherent state, organizing synchronicities and opportunities that align with your transformed frequency. The universe, sensing your inner harmony, begins to mirror that coherence back to you through experiences that feel both surprising and inevitable, magical and utterly natural. The old timeline, where you swam against the current of your own creation, fades like a distant dream. You remember the exhaustion of constantly fighting your own thoughts, the weariness of treating your inner voice as an enemy to be conquered rather than a friend to be befriended. Now, you rest in the knowing that your transformation has created a new gravitational center in your life, pulling experiences toward you that match your evolved state of being. Your nervous system has learned to recognize this flow state as home. The hypervigilance that once scanned for problems now transforms into gentle awareness that notices opportunities. Your body knows the difference between the tension of trying to control and the aliveness of being in flow. Every cell in your being relaxes into this new way of existing, where manifestation feels as natural as breathing, as effortless as your heart beating its steady rhythm of belonging. You feel yourself surfing the waves of possibility rather than being tumbled by them. When challenges arise, your inner voice doesn't panic or criticize, responds with the wisdom of someone who knows that every wave is part of the ocean. Every experience is part of the flow. You find yourself asking not why is this happening to me, but what is this here to teach me? How is this serving my highest good? The quantum field rewards this trust with experiences that exceed your previous capacity to imagine. Relationships that mirror your self-love, opportunities that align with your authentic gifts, circumstances that support your continued growth and expansion. You're not attracting these things through force or manipulation. You're allowing them through the natural magnetism of a being who has learned to speak to themselves with the voice of their highest self. Your inner voice becomes a dance partner in the cosmic choreography of your life. Instead of leading with harsh demands or following with resigned compliance, you move together in the elegant rhythm of co-creation. When inspiration arises, you listen. When rest is needed, you honor it. When action is called for, you respond with the fluid grace of someone who trusts the intelligence of the flow. The coherence you've cultivated extends beyond your personal experience into the web of all your relationships. People sense the peace you've made with yourself and find themselves making peace with themselves in your presence. Your transformed inner voice becomes a tuning fork, helping others remember their own capacity for self-compassion and effortless creation. You breathe into the recognition that you are both the river and the banks, the current and the one being carried. In this integration, you discover that the quantum current of your highest timeline has always been here, waiting for your inner voice to align with its frequency. The observer effect works in your favor as you witness yourself with the eyes of someone who sees the divine in the ordinary, the infinite in the moment. Your timeline reorganizes around this new center of gravity. Past experiences that once felt like obstacles now reveal themselves as the exact curriculum needed to develop this trust in the flow. Future possibilities that once seemed out of reach now feel natural, inevitable, aligned with the voice that speaks of your inherent worth and unlimited potential. The quantum field holds you in this recognition, supporting your continued expansion with the same natural forces that move galaxies and grow flowers. You are part of this cosmic dance of becoming, and your gentle inner voice is the music that guides your steps. Every word of self-compassion is a prayer, every moment of trust a small miracle, every breath an affirmation of your place in the infinite flow of possibility. Quantum entanglement takes on profound meaning as you understand that you are intimately connected to every version of yourself across all timelines. When you flow with your highest timeline, you're not just changing this moment, you're healing every moment. Not just this version of you, but every version. The ripple effect of your coherence extends through time and space, touching lives you may never know, healing wounds you may never remember. Your nervous system integrates this way of being at the cellular level, creating new baseline states of flow and trust. The anxiety that once accompanied uncertainty transforms into excitement about infinite possibilities. Your body knows it's safe to relax into this new way of being because the voice in your head is no longer fighting the current it's learned to dance with it. You feel the edges of your individual self softening into the larger flow of existence. This is not a loss of identity, but an expansion of it. A recognition that you are both a unique expression of consciousness and an inseparable part of the whole. Your inner voice once isolated and critical, now speaks with the wisdom of the collective, the love of the universal, the truth of the eternal. The quantum current carries you now into the space between sleeping and waking, where transformation happens in the fertile darkness of rest. You allow your consciousness to merge with the flow, knowing that when you wake, you'll continue to dance with existence rather than wrestle with it. Your inner voice will continue to guide you with the gentle wisdom of someone who has learned to trust the intelligence of the universe. Tonight, you let yourself be held by the understanding that you are both the question and the answer, the seeker and the sought, the voice and the silence from which all voices arise. In the gentle space of falling asleep, you surrender to the quantum current of your highest timeline, knowing that you are exactly where you need to be, moving exactly as you need to move. When you finally trust the voice within, infinite possibilities begin to flow through you like a river remembering its way to the sea, carrying you home to the truth you've always been, whole, worthy, and eternally connected to the source of all creation. Here you are, cradled in the arms of twilight, where your transformed inner voice becomes a lullaby for your dreams. Feel how the quality of your thoughts has shifted, no longer the jagged edges of self-criticism, but smooth stones worn gentle by the river of your own compassion. Your inner dialogue has become a sacred conversation between the parts of yourself that have always known your worth and the parts that adjust. Remembering, listen to the tenderness in your mental voice now. It speaks to you with the softness of a mother tucking in her child, recognizing the precious innocence that has always lived within you. This voice knows that you've been doing your best with the tools you had, that every mistake was a lesson in disguise, that your humanity is not something to fix, but something to celebrate. Your nervous system responds to this new frequency like a flower opening to sunlight. The stress hormones that once flooded your system when harsh thoughts arose now settle into the chemistry of peace. Your body remembers what it felt like to be held in unconditional love, and your own voice has become the source of that holding. Every cell in your body sighs with relief at this homecoming. As you prepare for sleep, your quantum mind begins its most profound work. The conscious mind, that diligent editor of your waking experience, starts to soften its grip on linear thinking. In this liminal space, your awareness expands beyond the boundaries of ordinary perception, accessing the infinite field where all possibilities exist simultaneously. Your transformed voice becomes the navigator of this quantum realm, guiding you toward timelines where your highest potential already lives. Your inner voice now carries the reverence of a mystic blessing the sacred, recognizing that your thoughts are not mere mental chatter, but creative forces that shape reality itself. Each word you speak to yourself is a prayer offered to the universe, a vibrational signature that calls forth experiences matching its frequency. The harsh critic that once diminished your power has transformed into a wise oracle that speaks. Only truth, only love, only possibility. Feel how your breathing deepens as you acknowledge this transformation. Your nervous system, that exquisite network of communication between body and soul, has learned to recognize the safety of your own loving presence. The fight-or-flight response that once activated every time you criticized yourself now rests in the knowing that you are both protector and protected, both nurturer and nurtured. This closing chapter weaves together all the threads of your journey, creating a gentle integration that allows your quantum mind to process and embody these new patterns while you rest. The neural pathways of self-compassion, carved deeper with each kind word, prepare to strengthen even further during sleep. Your brain, in its remarkable plasticity, will spend the night rewiring itself around this new frequency of self-acceptance. You have learned to speak to yourself with the certainty of someone who has remembered their own magnificence, not the hollow certainty of ego, but the quiet knowing of a recognition that you are not separate from the creative force of the universe, but an expression of it. Your inner voice now carries this cosmic perspective, speaking from the place that knows your true nature has never been diminished by human struggles. As your consciousness prepares to dissolve into sleep, your quantum mind continues its sacred work of integration. The observer effect operates even in rest, as your awareness witnesses the transformation of old patterns into new possibilities. Each loving word you've spoken to yourself today becomes a quantum seed planted in the fertile soil of your sleeping mind, ready to sprout into tomorrow's reality. Your nervous system settles into the profound relaxation that comes from self-acceptance. The hypervigilance that once kept you alert to your own flaws now transforms into a gentle alertness to your own growth. Your body knows it can rest completely, trusting that the voice in your head will guard your dreams with the same tenderness it now brings to your waking thoughts. Tonight, you sleep as the creator of your reality, your dreams seeded with infinite possibility. The quantum field responds to your elevated self-talk by rearranging potential around you. Opportunities that match your new frequency begin to coalesce in the realm of probability. People who resonate with your transformed energy start moving toward your experience through the mysterious workings of quantum entanglement. Your subconscious mind, that faithful architect of your lived experience, begins its nighttime work of reorganizing your reality to match your transformed inner voice. Every gentle word becomes a blueprint for tomorrow's experiences. Every moment of self-compassion creates a template for how others will treat you. Your inner dialogue has become the script from which your life story unfolds. Feel your body's gratitude for this transformation as you sink deeper into rest. Your cells have been waiting for this frequency, this vibration of self-love that allows them to function at their highest potential. Your immune system strengthens when you speak to yourself with kindness. Your creativity flows more freely when your inner voice supports rather than sabotages your dreams. In the theta waves that approach, your mind becomes even more receptive to the new programming you've installed. Your consciousness expands beyond the limitations of linear thinking, accessing the quantum realm where past, present, and future exist as malleable possibilities. Your transformed voice becomes the conductor of this cosmic symphony, orchestrating realities that reflect your newfound self-love. The neural networks of compassion fire and wire together as you rest, becoming superhighways for love to travel through your consciousness. Your brain chemistry shifts toward the neurotransmitters of joy, peace, and connection. Tomorrow, kindness toward yourself will feel more natural, more automatic, more true than the criticism ever did. Your quantum mind understands that rest is not retreat, but advancement. In sleep, your awareness expands beyond the limitations of ego consciousness, accessing the infinite field of potential that quantum physics reveals. Your mind, no longer bound by the harsh restrictions of self-criticism, can explore possibilities that were previously invisible, dream dreams that were previously impossible. As consciousness dissolves into the quantum soup of sleep, your transformed voice continues its work of creation. It speaks to the parts of you that dream, the parts that heal, the parts that remember your cosmic nature. Even in the deepest rest, your inner dialogue weaves new realities from the elevated frequency of self-love. Your nervous system settles into the profound peace that comes from ending the war with yourself. the stress response that once activated. Every time you criticized yourself now recognizes the safety of your own loving presence. Your body can finally rest completely, held in the embrace of your own transformed voice. As consciousness dissolves into sleep, what dreams will your transformed voice weave into tomorrow's reality?